Listen up, man. You've probably noticed it before. How a woman's mood can flip in an instant, how her confidence can shine or crumble depending on a single word, glance, or action. Understanding this isn't some secret superpower, it's just psychology, plain and simple. What I'm about to break down for you will give you insight into female behavior that most men miss entirely. And when you get this, you won't just see her differently. You'll understand how she ticks, what makes her feel powerful, and what can quietly shake her ego without drama. Here's the thing. Women's egos aren't fragile like glass, but they respond to cues, validation, and perception. You don't have to play games or be manipulative. This isn't about trickery. It's about recognizing patterns and using them in your favor in dating and relationships. When you understand the psychology behind her reactions, you hold the keys to influence, attraction, and emotional control in a way that feels natural, even effortless. We're going to cover tactics that work in today's world, not outdated advice that leaves you confused or frustrated. You'll learn how to navigate conversations, read her subtle reactions, and influence how she sees herself and you without ever being pushy or disrespectful. These are insights that most men never realize, leaving them stuck wondering why she pulls away, loses interest, or tests them endlessly. By the end of this video, you'll know how to handle her mind and emotions with precision. You'll understand when to step back, when to step in, and how to position yourself as someone she respects, desires, and even admires. This is about control, awareness, and understanding. And trust me, once you master this, dating becomes less guesswork and more strategy.
1. Notice the little things. Men, if you want to truly understand a woman, you have to start noticing the little things. The tiny gestures, the subtle shifts in her tone, the way her eyes move when she's lying, excited or upset. Most guys ignore these details because they're focused on the big gestures, the texts, the calls, the obvious signs. But it's the small stuff that tells you everything about her ego, her mood, and what really makes her tick. A woman's ego is sensitive to perception. She notices how you react to small cues, even when you think she hasn't. Does she compliment herself in front of you and see if you acknowledge it? Does she subtly test your patience to see how you respond under pressure? Every glance, smirk, and offhand comment is a tiny window into her mindset. Your ability to read these microsignals gives you the power to influence her emotions without her even realizing it. Here's the strategy. Start observing without judgment. Listen to her choice of words. Notice when she says things that hint at insecurity or pride. Does she brag about her accomplishments? Does she make self-deprecating jokes that seem like tests? These are opportunities to respond in ways that either bolster or shake her ego. For example, if she's fishing for praise, give her a compliment, but do it strategically. Make it specific, make it subtle, and avoid overdoing it. Over-complimenting weakens your presence. Measured acknowledgement keeps you in control. Another crucial aspect is timing. Women respond to attention, but not all attention is equal. A well-timed observation or comment can make her feel understood, validated, or even slightly challenged, all of which affect her ego. Don't just react automatically. Think about the effect of your words. When you notice her smallest victories or vulnerabilities, you hold leverage. Lastly, internalize this. Noticing isn't the same as obsession. Don't fixate on every minor detail. Use what matters to maintain awareness of her emotional state. Your goal isn't to manipulate for manipulation's sake, it's to understand her psychology so you can navigate interactions confidently without guessing games or frustration. Once you get this, everything else becomes easier. Conversation flows, attraction deepens, and you know when to step forward or step back to control the emotional pace of the relationship. 2. Mirror her energy. Men, one of the most underrated tools in dating is simple: mirror her energy. Women pick up on vibes more than words. If she's playful, serious, distant, or flirtatious, Matching her energy creates a subtle psychological connection that most guys completely miss. It's not mimicry, it's calibration. You're showing her, on a subconscious level, that you're on her wavelength. That alone can elevate your influence over her ego and her feelings toward you. Think about it. When a woman is excited, animated, and full of life, a guy who's flat, disinterested, or off balance creates tension. Her ego senses it immediately, and she may either pull back or test you further to see if you're capable of keeping up. The opposite is also true. If she's calm, reserved, or distant, being overly intense or hyperactive can push her away. Mirroring her energy signals emotional intelligence and makes her feel safe, seen, and understood. Here's the tactic. Pay attention to her pace and intensity in conversations and interactions. If she laughs lightly, smile lightly back. If she's teasing, tease her subtly in return. If she's quiet, don't overshoot with loud energy. Match it, then slowly guide it upward. This isn't about being fake. It's about consciously controlling your output to create a natural rhythm between you. Women respond to consistency, but they also respond to subtle shifts that keep them on their toes. That's where attraction comes from. Mirroring her energy also affects her ego. When you align with her mood, you show her you're not just a presence in her world. You're someone who adapts, understands, and responds intuitively. Her ego feels validated. Her mind registers compatibility, and her subconscious starts building trust. But here's the kicker. Once you've mirrored her, you can subtly change your energy to influence hers. Calm a chaotic moment, elevate a dull interaction, or inject tension when needed. Done right, this can challenge her ego in ways that are irresistible and magnetic. Don't overthink it. You're not trying to be her shadow. You're creating a rhythm that feels effortless and natural. Start small, notice her reactions, and adjust subtly. A well-matched energy keeps her engaged, curious, and invested, while also giving you the subtle upper hand in guiding the emotional flow. Remember, women don't just notice what you say, they feel your energy. Mirror it, respect it, then use it strategically. That's how you connect, influence, and make a woman feel your presence in a way that lingers long after the interaction ends. 3. Use subtle challenges. Men, listen carefully. Women respond to challenge. Not overt confrontation or aggression, but subtle, intelligent challenges that make her think, feel, and even question herself a little. A woman's ego thrives on these micro-challenges. They stimulate her mind and stir her emotions. Done correctly, it makes her see you as confident, engaging, and someone who isn't easily swayed. Done poorly, and you come off as insecure or petty. Here's the key: subtlety. A challenge isn't about arguing or proving her wrong. It's about nudging her out of complacency in a way that's playful, intriguing, and mentally stimulating. For example, if she brags about an accomplishment, don't immediately inflate it with praise. Instead, make a light, teasing comment that shows you noticed, but also that you're not blindly impressed. This sparks curiosity and allows her to feel seen without feeling controlled. Challenges also test her ego. Women instinctively gauge how much confidence a man has, and subtle challenges force her to adjust her perception of you. You can challenge her through small disagreements, playful teasing, or by setting boundaries she didn't expect. The trick is to maintain respect while creating tension. This tension isn't negative, it's magnetic. It signals strength, independence, and self-assuredness, all of which heighten attraction. Timing matters. A challenge at the wrong moment can feel hostile or mean-spirited. You need to gauge her mood, energy, and the context of your interaction. A playful jab when she's relaxed and smiling works. A challenge when she's stressed or defensive backfires. Pay attention to subtle signals, tone of voice, facial expressions, body language, and use them as your guide. Another method is to let her chase your approval subtly. Don't overvalidate her. When she seeks praise or reassurance, respond thoughtfully but sparingly. This keeps her ego on alert without making her feel insecure. The goal is to create an atmosphere where she values your opinion, craves your attention, and appreciates your presence. Ultimately, using subtle challenges isn't manipulation. It's awareness. You're not trying to break her. You're engaging her mind, stirring her emotions, and creating dynamic interactions that make her invested. A woman who experiences this kind of interaction with you will remember it long after the conversation ends. Her ego is stimulated, her attraction grows, and she begins to associate your presence with excitement, confidence, and intrigue. Master subtle challenges, and you don't just interact with women, you influence them, leaving a lasting impression that goes beyond surface-level attraction. 4. Control the conversation. Men, if you want to influence a woman's ego and truly hold her attention, you need to control the conversation. This isn't about dominating or talking over her. It's about guiding the flow so that you set the emotional and intellectual tone. Women notice confidence in men who can lead discussions without being aggressive, and that leadership directly impacts how they perceive you. Start by framing the topics. Don't wait for her to decide the direction of every conversation. Bring up subjects that show your personality, your knowledge, and your sense of humor. Keep her engaged by asking open-ended questions, but don't turn it into an interview. Guide her responses subtly. For example, if she talks about her day, respond with a story or observation that adds value, humor, or intrigue. She'll feel listened to, but your influence will remain clear. Pacing matters. Don't rush through conversations or over-explain yourself. Speak with purpose, pause strategically, and let your words land. Silence can be powerful. It forces her to process what you said and even reflect on her own reactions. Women subconsciously respect a man who doesn't fill every space with chatter. It signals confidence and self-assurance. Another key tactic is redirecting negative or ego-driven statements. If she brags, complains, or tests you, don't react impulsively. Acknowledge briefly, then guide the conversation toward a neutral or positive direction. This shows emotional control and subtly influences her ego. She'll notice that you're not easily rattled, and this perception makes her respect your presence more. Humor is a tool here too. Teasing or witty remarks, when timed correctly, keep her entertained while maintaining your control. Playful humor challenges her just enough to make her think, laugh, and feel a connection, all while you hold the conversational rhythm. But remember, tone and context are everything. Misread it, and it can come off as sarcasm or judgment. Lastly, end conversations on your terms when possible. If the vibe is right, leave her wanting more. Don't linger unnecessarily, and avoid over-texting afterward. Leaving a conversation while she's engaged and intrigued elevates your presence in her mind. She'll remember your confidence and conversational control long after the interaction ends. Controlling the conversation is about balance. You lead without overpowering, guide without manipulating, and influence without appearing controlling. Women notice these subtleties. When you master this skill, her ego responds naturally. She feels intrigued, engaged, and subtly aware of your value. Conversations then become a tool to shape attraction and maintain your edge. 5. Give space, create desire. Men. One of the most powerful ways to influence a woman's ego is to give her space. Sounds simple, right? Yet most guys completely miss this. Being too available, too eager, or constantly checking in diminishes your presence in her mind. Women value men who have lives, interests, and confidence outside the relationship. Giving her space doesn't mean ignoring her. It means creating an environment where absence builds intrigue and desire. Here's the psychology. When you're always present, your value becomes expected. She begins to take you for granted, and her ego loses the excitement that comes from uncertainty and anticipation. By stepping back strategically, you allow her to think about you, remember moments shared, and even feel the subtle tension of wanting your attention. That's how desire grows naturally. Timing is everything. Space isn't about going silent for days or weeks. It's about balancing presence and absence in a way that feels natural, yet impactful. For example, after a meaningful date or deep conversation, give her time to process the interaction. Let her initiate contact sometimes. Don't respond instantly to every message. A slight delay signals confidence and independence. Her mind starts associating your attention with value, making her crave it more. Another key point: quality over quantity. When you do interact, make it meaningful. Texts, calls, or meetings should leave an impression, even if brief. Engage her ego by showing attentiveness, humor, or intelligence. But don't overdo it. Your scarcity creates space for her to notice your worth. Body language also plays a role. In person, don't hover or cling. Respect personal space, maintain composure, and move with purpose. Confidence shows when you're comfortable being alone or independent. This balance of connection and distance subtly challenges her ego, prompting attraction and admiration. Finally, resist the urge to overcompensate. Some men overcorrect by over-texting or showering her with attention after giving space. That kills the effect. The goal is to create a rhythm of engagement and absence that keeps her interested, curious, and emotionally invested. Giving space is not withdrawal, it's strategic influence. It stimulates her ego, maintains your value, and makes her desire your presence naturally. Men who master this principle see a marked shift in attention, respect, and attraction from women, turning interactions into magnetic connections that leave her thinking about you long after you're gone. 6. Play mind games. Men, let's be real. Women respond to mental tension and subtle psychological pushes. Mind games often get a bad rap, but I'm not talking about manipulation or cruelty. I'm talking about intelligent, strategic moves that keep her intrigued, guessing, and emotionally engaged. When done right, these tactics influence her ego and make her see you as someone unique, confident, and desirable. Start with unpredictability. Women notice patterns, and a predictable man quickly becomes ordinary. Vary your responses slightly. Don't always reply instantly, don't always agree, and occasionally surprise her with something thoughtful or unexpected. This keeps her mentally alert, subconsciously wondering what you'll do next. A woman's ego thrives on novelty and subtle challenge, so introducing small, controlled surprises increases her attraction and investment. Another technique is controlled aloofness. This doesn't mean ignoring her or acting cold. It's about not being emotionally or socially over-available. A well-timed pause in communication or a measured delay in responding can spark curiosity. Her mind starts filling in the gaps, imagining scenarios and wondering what you're up to. That mental engagement strengthens her connection to you and subtly affects her ego. It's about creating a sense of mystery that pulls her in. Teasing is also key. Playful, confident teasing challenges her ego without disrespecting her. Light sarcasm, witty banter, or gentle jokes about small habits can make her laugh while subtly signaling that you're confident and socially aware. Women love a man who can hold his own verbally and emotionally. When done with charm and timing, teasing excites her and creates a psychological push-pull that keeps her hooked. You can also leverage contrasts. Be warm and attentive in one moment, then intentionally shift your focus or energy elsewhere. This contrast engages her emotions, stimulating her ego while keeping her intrigued. Women respond to emotional variation. It makes interactions feel dynamic and memorable. A critical point: always maintain respect and boundaries. Mind games work only when you're confident and secure, not needy or desperate. Overdoing it or being mean-spirited backfires and damages your credibility. Your goal is to influence, intrigue, and challenge her subtly, leaving her impressed, curious, and emotionally engaged. Mastering subtle mind games gives you psychological control without manipulation. Her ego responds, her attention deepens, and attraction intensifies. When executed correctly, these tactics make interactions with you exciting, unpredictable, and memorable, leaving her thinking about you long after the conversation ends. 7. Confidence over everything. Men, let's get this straight. Confidence is the ultimate weapon in dealing with a woman's ego. Everything else, your looks, your jokes, your gestures, pales in comparison to how secure and self-assured you appear. Women sense confidence instinctively, and it influences their perception of you more than anything else. Without it, all your other tactics lose power. Confidence isn't about arrogance or loud displays. It's about calm certainty. It's knowing who you are, what you want, and how to handle interactions without overthinking. When you project this energy, her ego responds immediately. She recognizes strength, independence, and stability, all traits that create attraction and respect. A confident man commands presence without forcing it, and women can feel it on a deep, subconscious level. Start with self-assurance in your body language. Stand tall, maintain eye contact, and avoid fidgeting. Speak clearly, with purpose, and pause strategically. A confident tone communicates dominance without aggression. Women notice the difference between a man who's sure of himself and a man who's constantly seeking validation. Your confidence tells her that you are not easily swayed, manipulated, or rattled. Next, take ownership of your decisions and actions. A confident man doesn't apologize for his choices unnecessarily, doesn't second-guess his words, and doesn't over-explain himself. This doesn't mean being rigid. It means projecting certainty while being adaptable when needed. Women respect a man who leads the interaction without being controlling because it signals emotional strength and maturity. Confidence also intersects with all the other tactics we've covered. When you notice her little cues, mirror her energy, subtly challenge her, control the conversation, give space, or play mind games, your confidence amplifies their effectiveness. Without confidence, these tactics feel forced or manipulative. With confidence, they feel natural, magnetic, and powerful. Finally, embrace independence. Pursue your goals, interests, and social life outside of her presence. A woman's ego reacts positively to a man who has his own life, who doesn't rely on constant attention, and who is secure in himself. This independence creates respect, intrigue, and desire. Men, the bottom line is this: confidence is the foundation for influencing a woman's ego. Everything else is secondary. It's what makes your presence commanding, your actions meaningful, and your interactions unforgettable. Master confidence, and every other tactic becomes exponentially more effective. Women respond to certainty, strength, and calm dominance. It's the simplest, most powerful way to hold her attention and subtly influence her ego. Men, here's the truth. Influencing a woman's ego isn't about tricks or manipulation. It's about understanding, awareness, and confidence. Notice the little things. Mirror her energy, challenge her subtly, control the conversation, give space, play smart mind games, and above all, carry unshakable confidence. Each tactic works together to make her think, feel, and respect you on a deeper level. Done right, you'll hold her attention, spark desire, and naturally command her admiration. Master these principles, and interactions stop being random. They become a powerful magnetic dynamic where her ego responds exactly the way you want.